Welcome to the Tennet Indigenous Wisdom Research Center. I am your host, Author Teninet Setegn. In this broadcast series, we explore the profound mysteries within our research. Ethiopian esoteric philosophy and alchemy. Our journey into channeling hidden wisdom begins now.
Imagine for a second a unified map of reality. Like, we are talking about a map that's so expansive and, so meticulously detailed that it somehow seamlessly bridges these 12th century rock-hewn sanctuaries in East Africa with modern botanical alchemy.
Yeah, it's massive.
It is. And then it scales all the way up to mass media radio broadcasts. So, welcome to today's deep dive. Today, we are immersing ourselves in the Admesh philosophy.
Specifically, the foundational manuscript authored by Tennet Setegn.
Exactly. It's this dense, highly esoteric framework coming out of the Tennet Indigenous Wisdom Research Center. And, it is packed with ideas that will challenge how you view the universe. But at its core, it holds this blueprint that might just completely reframe your understanding of your own place within reality.
And, what makes this entire framework so compelling is that we are looking at an unbroken alchemical pathway.
Yeah.
This isn't a philosophy created in a vacuum by someone sitting in a modern university office.
Well,
it is a living lineage.
Right.
We're tracking this continuous stream of cosmic understanding, and it stretches from ancient historical monuments straight through to highly structured modern institution building. You rarely see this kind of continuity in global philosophical thought.
You really don't. And before we can even begin to unpack the modern implications of Admesh, we have to look at the soil it grew in, right?
Definitely.
This entire worldview explicitly grounds itself in a very specific geographical and historical baseline, and that is Ethiopia.
Which is so important because, conventional history loves to compartmentalize knowledge. We tend to organize human achievement by distinct, isolated nations or separate eras.
We treat them like closed systems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you look closer at Ethiopia through the lens of this philosophy, a totally different narrative emerges. Ethiopia acts as this ancient, monumental foundation of human achievement. We aren't just discussing abstract, floating ideas here.
Right. There's physical proof.
Yeah. There are massive physical testimonies left behind by people who were tapping into this exact same cosmic blueprint centuries ago.
Which you see physically in the Aksumite Empire, and especially when you look at the breathtaking rock-hewn sanctuaries of Lalibela. Those date back to the 10th, 11th, and 12th centuries.
Yeah, the architecture there is it's unbelievable.
It's wild, because when you actually look at how these churches were built, they weren't constructed by stacking stones upward toward the sky like, a normal building.
No, not at all.
They were carved directly downward into the solid, continuous bedrock of the earth.
And carving downward is a perfect physical metaphor for what this philosophy is actually all about.
Oh, that's a great point.
Right. These sanctuaries are considered materialized wisdom. They represent the act of pulling heavenly cosmic concepts down and anchoring them directly into the dense physical matter of the earth.
Wow.
The architects of Lalibela were demonstrating this profound indigenous baseline of advanced cosmic understanding. They were proving that the spiritual and the material are literally carved from the exact same continuous stone of reality.
Okay, and it wasn't just happening in architecture either. The lineage highlights these historical heavyweights who were accessing the exact same divine revelations but manifesting them differently. Take Saint Yard, for example.
Yes, Saint Yard is central to understanding this unbroken lineage. He channeled what is described as a celestial, multidimensional, musical and notation system.
Wait, let's unpack that for a second. What makes a musical notation multidimensional? Are we talking about specific frequencies correlating to different spiritual realms?
That is exactly the mechanism.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a new stylistic way to sing hymns. Yard's system fundamentally mapped sacred acoustics to the human body and the spiritual cosmos simultaneously.
That is so intense.
It is. In this framework, sound isn't just noise, it's geometry. Specific pitches, rhythms, and lyrical meanings were engineered to resonate at frequencies that align the listener's physical body, their mind, and their spirit with the hidden heavenly realms.
So it was basically a technology of sound.
Precisely, a technology of sound.
That phrase alone just completely changes how you think about a choir. And then, jumping ahead in history, we encounter a 17th century philosopher named Zara Yacob.
Right. Zara Yacob authored a profound rational treatise called the Hatata Zara Yacob. He was laying down the foundations of modern critical thinking and rational philosophical discourse decades before global mainstream philosophy in Europe caught up.
Right, before they started claiming those ideas as their own invention.
Exactly.
So when I look at this progression, you've got Lalibela, Yared, Jacob. It makes me think of, well, technology. It's almost like there has been this ancient open source code of human wisdom that has just been quietly running in the background of Ethiopia for centuries.
I like that analogy.
Right. And different people at different times log in, they download a massive piece of this high frequency code, and they manifest it into the world.
Yeah.
Sometimes it renders as architecture, sometimes as a multidimensional musical scale, and sometimes as a treatise on rational thought. But I have to push back a little bit here.
Sure, go ahead.
If this ancient code is really so profound and its applications are this powerful, why is it so often sidelined as just, regional history? Why isn't this universally recognized as a foundational pillar of global human wisdom?
Well, that tension you're describing is actually a central theme of the philosophy itself. The source argues that these great esoteric truths belong to collective humanity. They transcend physical borders and continents.
Okay.
The wisdom isn't inherently confined to one isolated group. However, conventional historical narratives are often written by those who fragment the story to suit a specific worldview.
Right. That makes sense.
They fail to see the continuous, unbroken nature of these extraordinary individuals across time. History chops the timeline into disconnected events. But the Admesh worldview sees an ongoing, flowing river of indigenous wisdom continuously bubbling up from the exact same universal fountain.
And understanding that this ancient fountain never actually stopped flowing sets us up perfectly for the central figure of today's deep dive. How does an ancient open source code get a massive update in the modern era?
Enter author Teninet Setegn.
Yes. To fully grasp the philosophy, you have to look at the messenger. He was born in 1972 in the historic city of Debrecen, which you might know today as Bishoftu.
Right. And he was raised strictly within the traditions and liturgy of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church.
So he is completely immersed in that ancient historical code we were just talking about.
Immersed is the perfect word. Because of that environment, he developed an intense, lifelong obsession with ancient Ge'ez manuscripts.
And Ge'ez is the ancient liturgical language of Ethiopia, right?
Yes, and these texts, preserved deep within church repositories, are incredibly dense. They're layered with hidden esoteric meanings that require immense dedication to decode.
But his journey wasn't just about reading old books. There are these massive, destiny-altering moments of awakening that shift him from, a scholar to a channeler.
Exactly. The first major pivot happened one evening while he was keeping vigil on the church grounds. He experienced a profound transcendent vision where his spiritual eyes were opened. Yeah, he witnessed a mystical figure standing on the church porch. It's an encounter he actually later documented in his seminal book, Mr. Samayat.
And following that, at Mount Thekwala, a spiritual mother delivers a sacred covenant to him with a very clear mandate. She says, "You shall bring forth that which is distant and hidden."
A huge turning point.
Right. And from there, he heads to the capital, Addis Ababa. It's 1995. He enrolls at Kotibi Teachers Education University to study Ethiopian languages and literature, but he doesn't stay. He realizes Rigi academia is fundamentally incapable of holding the kind of knowledge he is trying to process.
Which is a bold move.
It is. I think for you listening, this is a deeply relatable pivot. It's the classic story of someone dropping out of a highly structured, rigid corporate job to become an independent inventor in their garage. Except instead of inventing a new microchip, he is, dropping out to catch high-frequency cosmic knowledge.
Yeah, he realized his ultimate calling required stepping entirely outside of conventional scholarship.
Yeah.
The academic structures were just too confining for the expansive nature of what he was experiencing.
But, anyone can claim they had a vision on a church porch. History is littered with people who had profound spiritual hallucinations that ultimately went nowhere. How did he actually operationalize a mystical vision into a coherent, massive philosophical framework? What is the actual mechanism for bringing something distant and hidden down into a recorded manuscript?
That's the real work. It requires an incredibly rigorous, systematic approach. A vision is just a spark, but turning that spark into a lasting philosophy requires immense discipline.
So what did that look like for him?
For Tennet Setegn, this meant entering states of deep, prolonged meditation. This wasn't passive daydreaming. It was an active, exhausting process of catching high-frequency cosmic concepts and then doing the agonizing work of translating them into structured, accessible human language.
Wow.
He had to cross-reference his ethereal experiences with the ancient gaze frameworks to ensure continuity. He was literally building a bridge between the unmanifested spiritual realm and the physical pages of a book.
Which means we're transitioning from a personal mystical experience into a logistical empire. Having profound visions and writing them down for yourself is one thing. But building a system designed to survive across generations, institutionalizing the ethereal, basically, is a completely different undertaking.
Yeah, and that institutionalization formally began in 2005. That is the moment he legally and conceptually branded this flowing stream of consciousness as Admesh. He founded Admesh Books Trading to serve as the distribution engine for this knowledge.
The sheer scale and pedagogical structure of what they published through Admesh Books Trading is staggering. They didn't just drop a 900-page dense philosophical text on day one. They engineered a highly specific literary evolution.
They were very strategic. They started by building the cognitive foundation for the next generation. He wrote enlightening children's literature books like The Hasty Hyena, The Animal Court, and The Shoemaker's Tale.
Wait, let's pause on that. Translating cosmic alchemical truths into a story about a hasty hyena is brilliant. How exactly does that work?
Well, take the concept of patience and observation, which is a foundational prerequisite for advanced spiritual alchemy. If you hand a 5-year-old a treatise on multidimensional frequency, they will tune out immediately.
Of course.
But if you tell them a beautifully illustrated story about a hyena whose impatience leads to a loss of harmony in the animal kingdom, you are quietly installing the ethical and cognitive software they will need decades later to understand complex esoteric balance.
Oh, that's amazing. You are planting the seeds of the cosmic blueprint in the soil of a child's imagination.
Exactly.
Once that foundation was laid, the publication scale shifted into consciousness-awakening books for adults, titles like The Wisdom of Life and the Black Horse. And then they finally released the heavy hitters.
The masterworks. Volumes like The Mysteries of the Heavens and The Philosophy of the Mysteries of Ethiopia.
Right.
And as the knowledge grew even more complex, demanding a permanent institutional framework, he channeled advanced alchemical treatises. Books like Mela Vudet, which translates roughly to The Fullness of Unity, The Book of Wisdom, and The Myths of Fitratat.
And these are dense, intricate mappings of reality that are now globally distributed on major platforms like Amazon.
Yeah, they're accessible everywhere now.
But publishing books was only phase one. Admesh Books Trading created the Nagir Taibeb Wisdom Center, a physical space for seekers to listen to live analyses. And then they decided to take the entire philosophy national.
Which was a massive undertaking. They secured a weekly Sunday mass media broadcast on Ethiopia's major national frequencies, Ahadu Radio and Fana Radio.
Wow.
For 4 consecutive years, they were beaming esoteric cosmology and ancient alchemical wisdom directly into millions of homes.
Broadcasting deep esoteric philosophy on national radio for 4 years is a monumental feat. And they didn't just let that audience dissipate, right? They organized those listeners into a legally recognized civic association called
Yes, which ultimately evolved into the pinnacle of this structural journey, the Tennet Indigenous Wisdom Research Center. It operates today as a fully realized research institution governed by a board of directors, with the author serving as founder and chairman.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This center is where the philosophy becomes incredibly tangible. It is divided into 4 chambers.
Right, the 4 specific branches of study.
Yeah. You have Beit Hasab, the Chamber of Thoughts, which researches metaphysics. You have Beit Etziwat, the Chamber of Flora, diving deep into botanical alchemy and natural medicine. Beit Dikwik, the Chamber of Children, turning these truths into moral literature. And Beit Zema, the Chamber of Melody, investigating ancient acoustics and sacred frequency scales.
That's a holistic approach.
It is, but looking at this logically, how do sacred acoustics in Beit Zema and botanical medicine in Beit Etziwat fit into a single philosophical research center? Like, on the surface, music and plants are completely different fields of study.
I get why that seems confusing, but in the Admesh worldview, they are just different expressions of the exact same frequency.
Oh, interesting.
The institution physically mirrors the philosophy. You simply cannot separate the biological from the spiritual or the acoustic from the intellectual.
Right.
Think of it this way. The spiritual healing properties of a specific medicinal plant studied in the Chamber of Flora and the sacred frequency of a traditional Ethiopian melody studied in the Chamber of Melody are both acting on the human body to achieve the same harmonious alignment.
I see.
Botany is essentially frozen music. They are different materialized forms of the same invisible cosmic force.
Botany as frozen music, that perfectly bridges us into the core blueprint itself. If the center is the physical building, we need to look at the map they're studying inside of it. Let's dive into the architecture of the Admesh cosmology.
Okay, let's do it. This cosmology maps all of reality across two foundational, deeply interconnected pillars: the study of creation and the study of divinity.
Starting with pillar first, the study of creation. The science operates across three distinct evolutionary spheres, right?
Correct. First, there's the heavenly world. Second, the hidden earthly world. And third, the manifested earthly world, which is the dense physical planet we currently occupy.
Okay, and within these three worlds, the cosmology categorizes everything into 10 primary categories of creation, and those are grouped into three main types: Siwuran, Huayan, and Juzan. Break down how these three groups actually interact.
So Siwuran are the hidden, invisible cosmic forces. They are completely esoteric. Hawaiian are the living, conscious, animated entities like humans and animals.
Okay.
And Juzan is the inanimate, dense, physical matter, rocks, water, soil. What the Admesh cosmology does is trace the exact alchemical pathway of how the invisible becomes visible.
Wait, how does an invisible force turn into a rock?
Think of it like water vapor turning into solid ice. The invisible forces of the Siwuran don't just magically pop into physical existence. They condense and pass through the living, conscious entities, the Hawaiian.
So through us.
Exactly. Human consciousness and biological life act as the transmuting filter that allows these hidden cosmic forces to eventually materialize and shape the dense, inanimate matter of the Juzan. We are the alchemical bridge between the invisible and the physical.
We are the transmuting filter. That fundamentally changes how you view your own consciousness. You aren't just observing the world, you are the mechanism through which the universe solidifies.
Right.
Which leads us directly into pillar the second, the study of divinity. If pillar I maps out the creation, pillar second maps out the creator.
And this study operates in what the philosophy calls the hidden heaven. It explores the ultra-subtle processes of how the supreme creator integrates with the physical creation we just described. This is anchored by four deeply intertwined tenets.
So let's go through them. The first tenet establishes that supreme esoteric wisdom acts as the ultimate mechanism to liberate humanity. Wisdom isn't just about accumulating facts, it is the gift of freedom and spiritual dominion.
Because without wisdom, you are trapped in the dense matter of the Juzan, completely unaware of the hidden forces shaping your life.
You're just ice, basically.
Right. Wisdom allows you to see the entire operating system. Once you see the system, you encounter the second tenet, the mirror reflection of the creator.
This is where it gets incredibly profound for you and me. The philosophy states that the creator brought forth the entire tapestry of creation to serve as a cosmic mirror.
Yeah, the unmanifested infinite creator needs a materialized canvas to observe his own divine image. Everything that exists, every star, every plant, every human, is part of this reflection.
So think of the entire universe as a massive cosmic biofeedback loop for the creator. It is a way for infinite formless energy to physically see its own face. Creation is the mirror. And when you realize you are part of that mirror, you reach the third tenet, the state of absolute oneness.
Which is the ultimate mystical realization of non-duality. The philosophy summarizes it with the phrase, "He exists within me and I exist within him."
Why is this specific realization of oneness considered the ultimate goal of the entire framework?
Because if the universe is a mirror, realizing absolute oneness means you stop identifying as a passive reflection. You realize the boundary between you and the divine source, casting the reflection, is an illusion.
Oh, wow.
That boundary just dissolves. You are no longer separate from the cosmos. You are a conscious, active participant in its divinity.
Which culminates in the fourth and final tenet, the manifestation of divinity on his son.
Right. This is the sealing mystery. It reveals how the unmanifested infinite nature of divinity structurally condenses and projects its full essence through the Son, becoming completely visible and knowable to the cosmos. It is the ultimate alchemical translation of the infinite into the intimately personal.
We have mapped an incredible amount of territory today. I mean, we started by grounding ourselves in the 10th century monolithic rocks of Lalibela. We decoded the multidimensional music of St. Yerd and the foundational critical thinking of Zara Yacob.
We followed Author Teninet Setegn's journey from a mystical vision on a church porch to the arduous, disciplined process of translating high-frequency cosmic truths into a structured, globally distributed library.
Right.
We saw how a profound personal mandate scaled into a 4-year national radio broadcast and eventually materialized as the Tennet Indigenous Wisdom Research Center.
And we explored the Admesh cosmology itself. We traced the alchemical pathway of how hidden cosmic forces condense through human consciousness into dense physical matter, all serving as a massive cosmic mirror for the divine to experience itself. The entire mission of this philosophy is to cut through the noise of modern information overload by handing you the complete architectural blueprint of reality.
It proves that ancient wisdom is not static history. It is a living, functional framework for understanding the universe right now.
As we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought to mull over on your own.
Yeah. Building on that concept of the mirror reflection of the Creator and the state of absolute oneness, consider this. If the entire manifested earthly world was created simply to serve as a mirror for the divine, and you are a conscious living piece of that physical world, does your personal pursuit of hidden wisdom actually change the reflection the Creator sees?
Oh, that's good.
When you learn something new, when you grasp a hidden cosmic truth, does the cosmos itself become just a little bit more self-aware?
That is something to sit with the next time you look in the mirror. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep exploring the incredible architecture of the world around you.